Hi friends! Today I'd like to read you a story that I wrote. It's called Have You Heard the Good Word of Madame Bramley Apple? Madame Bramley Apple climbed the rickety steps of the entertainment podium as the last of the nooses from the previous performance were cleared away. Her progress was slow as her large frame was not built to deal with the stairs. The stairs, similarly, were not built to deal with her, and they both groaned in mutual displeasure at the arrangement. She took her place at centre stage. The excited chatter of the audience hushed to a low set of whispers. Madame Bramley Apple calmly adjusted her fitted green dress and shuffled her papers in front of her as the audience became silent and still. It was quite the turnout to hear the good word of the madam. As customary for such an occasion, the silence could only be broken by the word itself. The madam took a step forward and vocalized her good word out loud. 2 syllables, a light smattering of vowels, not too difficult to pronounce, but hindered by an unusual spelling. She vocalized it clearly, so even those at the back of the packed masses took in its sound. There was a momentary continuation of the silence. Her stomach knotted. Was it a good word, or just a normal one? Maybe this one would not be accepted by the community, and her record, 15 years unbroken as a master wordsmith, would be broken. For she carved words out of the very fabric of the universe, occasionally out of the fabric of nature, the trees, the stones, and the rocks. The crowd started to mumble. The word was being judged. Slowly, the audience started to try out the word, first softly, cautiously, rolling the syllables over the tongue, feeling the very taste, the texture of the word, briefly chewing the word as the opportunity arose, before exhaling and allowing the word to slip slowly, dripping in its unique way to the floor. Some of the vocalizations started to writhe as if attempting to escape. This time, the organizers had been wise and layered the floor in thick wooden planks to stop burrowing words escaping before they were approved. There were dissenters who proclaimed the word to be too brown, too rubbery, and without enough purpose. They liked her last word better. That one was light and airy and floated out of the mouth like a pink raspberry and vanilla vapor. However, that word had only become an insincere compliment, and the madam knew that in her heart she could do better than insincerity. As the madam mused, it wouldn't be a proper debut of a new word without those who would shout above it, those who would declare any new word not to be a good word. The dissenters tried to rally the crowd to their side, but as customary for the announcement of a new word, the participants needed to try it for themselves in numerous ways before they could judge. Many of the community members started to shout the word, use the word in a punchline, and cry the word in bitter sobs, but none of those uses seemed to fit. Some climbed high and started to sing the word, thinking it to be poetic in its own way. A group of children started by chanting the word as if it was a playground nursery rhyme, as nursery rhymes often have a hidden bitter undertone. Others joined in. The use may have been perfect, if not for the unusual spelling. How could a child be expected to keep such a word in their day-to-day playtime vocabulary? One woman, the town's 5-star chef, decided it was best to name her new side dish and presented it to the onlookers with pride as she tried to attach the new name to it. She verbalized it in a high-pitched, refined accent practiced over many years while looking down her nose at everything. But the word wiggled out of the bowl and down her arm. Not to be defeated, She snatched up the oozing word and placed it back on top of the food, but again it rolled away. She became embroiled in this battle until her vocalization withered and died, leaving nothing but a thin brown film behind where it lay. One young man, in his excitement to impress the young milkmaid he had fallen head over heels for, tried the word as a proclamation of love. But the word, as any experienced vocalist would have known, was the wrong feel for this use, and it came out of his mouth in a thick, oozing spray. He held his hand over his mouth to catch the last of the word as it dripped through his fingers. His version was beautifully pronounced, just as the madam had instructed, but now with fragments of the word dripping from the hem of the milkmaid's dress. He had decided henceforth this word was too brown and bitter to be a word of love. Suddenly, a cry of pain rang out from the centre of the room. Soon it was the only sound, as an old man nursed his recently trod-upon foot and uttered the word as an insult to the young farmhand who stood upon his toes. The word leapt out of his mouth, where it slithered towards the farmhand. In an instant the word had made impact, coating his overalls and sliding over his face. He tried wiping it away, but no matter how many times he patted a cloth over his face, a thin brown film remained. "An insult!" the crowd cheered. The mayor stood up. "It is decided, then. This new word is an insult, and it does the job splendidly. My friends, use it sparingly, as it seems to leave a trace of itself behind. Such words can be dangerous when used too frequently." The crowd cheered and roared as the mayor wrote the new word, now declared to be a good word, into the great book with the ceremonial quill. Madame Bramley Apple finally breathed a sigh of relief. While making her way off the entertainment podium, she reflected. That word was a risky one. Maybe next time I'll make a baby name. And with that, the show was over.